Hello, welcome back. It is week 107 on Out on That Line. I'm Geoff with my co-host Alex. Alex, how you doing this week?
Jeff, to quote Colonel Sanders, I'm too drunk to taste this chicken.
Well, that should make for a wonderful episode, and I hope you don't get seasick this week because we're going to be talking about Lil Yachty and his new album. Let's start here. But before that, I heard you said that you had a little something you wanted to do first.
Yeah, it's sort of a mental exercise, a journey into the mind of a mental incompetent like Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Okay.
I don't know why I got this idea. I think just watching her embarrass herself, but and she definitely saw that as like a big W. She's like, "Oh, I
Yeah.
heckled the shit out of our elderly president. I'm the
Yeah.
coolest person in Congress."
Yeah.
So if we get into that person's mindset, what kind of playlist do you think she has to get amped up to suck every day? What are we putting on
Oh,
Marjorie Taylor Greene's playlist?
buddy, I'm gonna love doing this. So we're gonna have some. I think it's what Breaking Benjamin is for
Yep.
sure gonna be on there. Whatever that song, it's like I hate everything about you. Yeah, I know the melody. Definitely that. My jam, Lips of an Angel by Hinder, for sure gonna be on there. But to be fair, that's on my playlist too. Um, you're gonna have some Three Doors Down for sure. I
Which
think when she I
which
mean,
one?
Superman,
Superman?
did they have another one? They had a
Or
couple other songs. What
Kryptonite?
yeah, whatever those couple other songs they had were. I know they had a couple other hits. So that'd be just where I'm at to start. What about you?
I gotta say one of the obvious ones off the top is gotta be Buck Cherry with Crazy Bitch. I think she thinks that that song is applicable to her and that that's like a mentality and a lifestyle that's attainable and aspirational. Like she thinks it's a good thing to be a crazy bitch. Because I don't know if you knew this, Jeff, but bitch means being in total control of herself.
I think her performance at the State of the Union would tell a different story.
Yeah.
Uh, Looking like a trailer park Cruella de Vil out there. Just unbelievably bad performance all around. The outfit, the outbursts. I mean, just completely unhinged, terrible person. But I think she's gonna have a rockin' playlist at the end of the day.
I think it might seem like an obvious choice, but it's Occam's playlist, right? Sometimes the simplest and first answer is the best one. She's gotta have some Kid Rock on there,
I
a little
literally,
Ted Nugent.
literally like brain zap right there. I was thinking of Kid Rock when you were saying it.
Did you say Brain Zappa? We
Dang,
got him in. We
dang.
got him in organically, and then we had to point it out. Yeah, no, she's got Kid Rock. Now the question is, which Kid Rock? Because this is important. You can say what artist, but like what song specifically?
What is it called? American Badass?
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, that's a good pick.
Yeah, that one. I mean, for sure. Like you can roll with rock or you can suck my dick. Like that is. I mean, there, there's nothing better that I think the Undertaker used that as his entrance music for a while when he went on the like riding in on a motorcycle phase.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just again, we're putting these on her playlist and we're saying she's a terrible person, but I absolutely love that song. As much as Kid Rock is a joke these days, like those, he's got a couple jams that I will never let go of.
That's the thing is there was that summer where we just kept, like, rocking that what was it, a best of
That
CD?
was the history of rock. It was like a retrospective more than like a
Mm.
greatest hits or anything like that.
You know how they say that, cellar door is the most beautiful juxtaposition of words in the English language? I think the worst is Kid Rock retrospective.
Yeah.
I tend to believe.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot worse. And I think that might have been his jacket that he wore at Woodstock that she was wearing last night at the State of the Union.
That's honestly it's just like he gave it to me himself.
Yeah, that's it still smells like piss and beer.
My favorite scent. Oh, damn it. That just brought up oh, okay, yeah. You think she's got some Limp Bizkit on there? Because remember, she sucks, and it's pump up music.
For sure. I mean, if we're going down that road, she's got Limp Bizkit. She's for sure got Corn. She's for sure got Slipknot
Yeah.
on there. I mean, Mudvayne for sure. I'm just
Ooh,
running
good
down my
call.
gym playlist right now, honestly. But she's
This
for
time Imma
sure
let
got
it
that
all
on there.
come out.
And you know what? She's probably got something like Falling in Reverse on there. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but I think the lead singer of that is the guy that's dating Paige, that's the former WWE superstar.
Oh, I
I
see.
don't know if they're still together. I have no idea. But like I think they were dating for a while, but that is the like worst like edgelord rock and roll I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, what else could she have? Some, uh shit, Bullet for My Valentine, like, I could see her having some, like, aggressively mediocre rock music on there and be like, "This is pretty fucking good. It's pretty
Yeah,
fucking good, man."
for sure. The
Yeah.
butt rock. I think whatever might
Yes.
play on a butt rock radio station is what she's gonna have on that playlist.
Now, what kind of girly stuff do you think she listens to? Because she's a battle-hardened fucking buffoon, but she's gotta at the end of the day, she's a lady. So what
Redneck
kind of
Woman.
lady jams? Good
Redneck
one,
Woman by Gretchen Wilson,
good
for
one.
sure gonna be on there. Without being able to see the irony in it, something like Coal Miner's Daughter. Um, without the irony in her being a fan of it, but for sure she would listen to like Tammy Wynette, the older country artists, Shania Twain for sure, like the 90s country, and she won't skimp on the Toby Keith either. I'm sure
Yeah.
that what's the one courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue. Again, like
Again,
this
another
is
obvious but, like, perfect pick.
yeah, like I'm really selling myself out here, Alex, because I'm just like this is all stuff that I also listen to. So this is not going well for me. I don't like
Just
this
make
anymore.
you make her the playlist and send it to her and just a little message that's like, "Tonight, look at the moon and know that I'll be looking at it too as we listen to our playlist together.
Yeah.
P.S. Burning L."
I hope you listen to it while you do your CrossFit.
Yeah. Your fucking knees give out. You start pissing your kidneys out of your body.
God.
Best of
What
luck to you,
yeah, what a ghoul of a woman.
Congresswoman.
Well, what do you say we talk about an album that I think came as a bit of a surprise for both of us. And that's Lil Yachty with Let's Start Here. Now, I was more familiar with Lil Yachty from watching him do interviews and maybe a couple songs here and there, but always seemed to be like a decent person. You know what I mean? Like in the interview, seemed like he was trying to be, polite to whoever was interviewing him, like having a good time, making joke, just seemed like not a bad person to be around. And never and heard a couple songs. I was like, yeah, it's pretty good, but I wasn't really into the whole SoundCloud rap thing. There's a few songs that had come on, like they sound good, but I think for me, just because I didn't get it at the beginning, I just got it when there was a million versions of it already out. It was very overwhelming. There's just a lot of it. And so I just kind of, it was a blind spot for me. So I was looking forward to it because I was like, I've never really given a whole album in this sort of genre that he's normally in a chance. And so I was excited for this one. I was glad when you had brought it up to do it because I'd seen it kind of popping off online. People really liked the album, and I was just really excited to get into it. And now I'm going to be really excited to talk about it.
Absolutely, Jeffrey. You're spot on completely. Like you, I did not really interface with a lot of Lil Yachty's music for quite a while. Like, I think the first time I heard anything with Lil Yachty in it was he did a song with Kyle, since it's all caps, Kyle. And I Spy, you familiar?
I think that's one of the ones that I know. Yeah.
I spy with my little eye, a
Yes.
curly-headed cutie I could make into my wife. Like, it's such a delight. Like, I love that version of hip hop
Mhm.
and rap, like this, like, newer generation that's coming up with like this, like, very adorable sense of humor.
Mhm.
It's adorable, but then you have lines like, she says she's 21, I might have to ID that. All my bitches come in pairs like balls in my nutsack. I mean, we've talked about it before. Rappers are English lit nerds, and they're just turn such a beautiful phrase. And so, like, I guess in this much the same way as you're like, you saw interviews where he seemed like a good person. I listened to his music and I'm like, this guy's impish and whimsical, and that's right up
Mhm.
my alley. So I was curious to check out this album, especially because people were getting fired up. And I'm like, I've never heard anyone get like that fired up for Lil Yachty before,
Mhm.
but it represented a sea change. We'll get into that. So tell me, did you, after listening to this, go back and listen to like any of his old stuff extensively?
Not yet. I went through and listened to like some of the top songs that he's got on there. So like if you go to Spotify, they always have the top 5 like most listened to or newest songs, whatever it is. A couple of the songs from this album were on there, I think, just because they're released as singles and they're trying to, push it out, understandably. But I listened to the rest of them. And it wasn't the same as this. Like you can definitely understand that he's talented. I really honestly, I'm going to bring up Post Malone here. I don't know what your opinion on Posty is, but I happen to think I get the same sort of vibes here. I get the same sort of sense that he really enjoys making music. He really enjoys like just kind of doing what comes to him. And if that's Pink Floyd meets SoundCloud rap like he did on this album, then that's what he's going to do. And that's what I appreciate about Post Malone the same, because you see him do all these covers of songs that he just loves. Like he's got a version of Only Want to Be With You by Hootie and the Blowfish, like a cover that he's released as a single because he just loves that song. So I appreciate when artists are like, just not that they're following the muse, because that implies like they're this tortured artist that's like constantly just like trying to find the next thing. It's like they're just doing what feels good to them and expresses what they want to say. And they happen to be a lot of times very clever in how they say things, which is, I think, what sets them apart from kind of the rest of the group in their genre. And it's fun to listen to. At the end of the day, like that's the name of the game here, is it's fun to listen to this.
I You're exactly right. It's super fun, and I loved it for like the same reasons that I really, really loved, and it grew on me even more. Dawn FM, The
Mm-hmm.
Weekend, like that album had such a clear sense of identity and what it wanted to do, and then within that was taking like all these wild chances. Like we're gonna make a total club banger, like Take My Breath. We're
Mm-hmm.
gonna make something that's a little more Michael Jackson, like Sacrifice. We're going to interweave this weird Jim Carrey radio DJ in the afterlife kind of stuff that was all like very cool and conceptual and all over the
Mm-hmm.
place and unified around a theme and fun. And that was the theme for this album for Lil Yachty, because there's all of this, like you said, Pink Floyd meets the SoundCloud rapper. There's all this psychedelia to it, but there's funk and there's
Mm-hmm.
musique concrete where like you find a weird sound and turn that into an instrument. Like there's so much going on this album, and I liked the stuff I went back and listened to that
Mm-hmm.
was more like trap, but
Mm-hmm.
this was such a, in much the same way as like SZA kind of really sucked me in for
Mm-hmm.
how like fun it was and its sense of identity, this album did the same thing.
Yeah, and that, I mean, what a strong run of albums to start this year. I mean, we got
Yeah.
Margot Price, SZA, Jimmy Barnes, and now Lil Yachty. I mean, right? That's the only 4 that we've done so far.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
that's it's a hell of a run so far, and I think, this album had some like major bright spots, like Should I Be was
Mm.
phenomenal. The fact that the album ender song, like I love that the song structure mattered because it flowed so well through everything. Like it was a great experience listening to it all the way through. There's albums that we listen to that don't really do that very well. It's just a lot of singles, like the Megan Thee Stallion Good News album is the first example I think of, where it's like all the songs are good. The whole album as a whole, like it's fun to listen to, but it's more about, you're going to find yourself more picking and choosing which songs you listen to off of that. This is one that you just like got a long drive, like, you got an hour long drive or something like that. This is the sort of album you put on and just listen to for the whole thing. And I think that really distinguishes it from what you typically see out of like hip hop and rap. And I think this album has been very successful so far and sells a ton. And I love seeing that it's not because it's got a couple of really popular singles. That's the only reason it's selling. Like people are appreciating this thing all the way through.
It's completely bizarre, but yet there's like it totally works. You get a song like Pretty. I loved Pretty.
Mm-hmm.
It's just such a like goobery nookie jam, but it's got like those wonderful like wobbly psychedelic tones, and it's like very seductive, and it kind of reminded me of Silk Sonic, After Last Night,
Mm-hmm.
Thundercat on that doing those
Yeah.
oohs beginning. This was very Thundercat. There were moments that were very Silk Sonic. There were moments that were kind of Chance the Rapper, not necessarily like woo as like bombastic as he gets, but that like again that sense of youthfulness that's being brought to it that takes it in a different direction and builds on what he made with his trap music, which is what's cool about it is he's removing one element, which is the trap beats, and then turning up these others, which is this like experimentation with tones and synths and all kinds of other like studio instruments. So it was just like very gratifying to go backwards after this and look at what he did and like look at these like kind of small tweaks that ended up in like a huge chasm and made
Mm-hmm.
something completely different.
Yeah, he really and I think right from the first song, The Black Seminole, and this was
Mm.
one, did you have the same experience as me? Is where like I'll turn on the album and then I'll just let it go. I don't really pay attention the first time I listen to it to like which song is playing at the moment. I was like, I'll get to specifics later. I just want to let it rip all the way through. So this song I thought was like had ended and I was listening to a different song because it goes through such a progression throughout the song that by the time you're in the final third, it's nothing like it was in the first third. And I think when you do something like that to kind of throw you off and like get you a little bit on edge to start an album, whether you do that with like a genre that an artist normally doesn't do, or you just kind of break up and change how you are doing it. The Black Seminole did that. It started out, this is where I heard that like very Pink Floyd sort of sound. And I'm like, this is not what I would expect from, the little I'd heard of him before. This is not what I'd expect to hear from him. So immediately I was in. And so I was jamming along. And then all of a sudden, like the other part of that song starts up. And I figure that's the next song. And then that fades out and ends. And the actual next song starts. And I was like, wow, that was very interesting how it was like a false ending. And then it comes right back in. You think you're in a new song, and then it just isn't. It's like what was the Alice in Chains song where they do that at the end where it like fades out and then it comes right back in?
Um, Rain When I Die.
Yes. Good
Rain When
call.
I Die.
Good pull. Yeah.
Desert
Good
Island
pull.
album, baby. I will
Yeah.
always.
And that gave me very much that same sort of sense because it just like came back, and that's when I knew I was like, this isn't going to be the same like a collection of singles. I was like, there's a reason he made this song wouldn't be on there if it was going to be that way. There's just no room for a song like that. And it just really really impressed me basically right off the bat, and then it really never let up almost all the way through. Like it was really solid, enjoyable the entire way.
Yeah, and some of the like little tricks that you're talking about that get played along the way, like this album does a great job. Lil Yachty does a great job of like utilizing memes in a sense. Like you can take a song. I'm so fucking sick of Miley Cyrus Flowers at this point.
Oh no.
It's not the song's fault, but my girlfriend is terminally addicted to TikTok. So every 10 seconds I hear, I cried at night, I can buy myself flowers. And I'm like, I'm gonna fucking drive a car through the living room wall. Just awful. So, like, in much the same way as like memeing a song can really ruin it, here Lil Yachty is taking meme shit and like making it good. Like that TikTok, the wiggly voice thing that they
Mhm.
do. Like he auto tunes that in a couple times, but it's not like obvious.
Yeah.
It's just this little thing. It's one of those things, like you said, you're listening to it and you're like, what? It catches your attention because I'm the same way as you. I listen. I'm not really checking in on like what song we're on or how much
Mhm,
time is left. I just try to get lost in it. Unless something really stands out, like County Road on Margot Price. I was like,
mhm.
I gotta cheat and write this down.
Yep.
But yeah, it was just those little kind of like subtle turns around the corner that kept you guessing. What song are we on? Is this like is this the same thing? Like what is this? Where is
Mhm.
this going? So it was again, it was an album with like a huge sense of fun to it, which made it so enjoyable.
Yeah, and, I don't know if you noticed, but when you're looking at the like, the song titles, the capitalization of certain ones is not, like, always consistent. I didn't know if you had seen if there was, like, a reason for that, like, what order, what if a word means a certain something if you because it's capitalized.
Part of me wants to say, because I'm looking at it now, part of me wants to say that it's just a stylistic thing. And
Okay.
not in an up your own ass, hat on a hat way. I think it's just kind of a stylistic thing, and it reminds me again of this whole, like, meme thing.
Mhm.
Parts of it look like the sarcastic SpongeBob kinda thing.
Yeah.
I think it's just kind of a fun stylistic choice that goes with the creepy AI generated album
Mhm.
cover and the weirdness of the songs. I think it's just like a super well thought out, well executed album.
And that cover, that's another thing. I'm glad you brought that up because I've seen so many of these AI pictures now where people have like 18 fingers and like 47 teeth on each row, and it's just like insane that like why we want to do that. First of all, basically is like art is one of the most important things that I think the human race has ever done. It's like it kind of is one of the things that helps push society forward. And to think that we're just going to let computers like that, it means so little to people that we're just going to let computers do it because they're like, oh, I just want something that looks nice. Like, I don't care about having whatever the sentiment is behind making it. It's like we already have that problem with pop music. Like, it is, a lot of it is very computer generated. Like, they scientifically like research this stuff to find out like what key changes get people most interested, like what melodies get most stuck in your head. They definitely do like research on this stuff and plan for that. And to think that we're just going to move towards like more and more and more AI stuff, it's like we're going to lose a lot of kind of what makes it interesting to be here in the first place.
Well, yeah, I totally agree. And to that point, Jeff, art is the most important thing that's been done in this world. And much in that same way, what we're doing here is art, which makes it one of the most important things in the world. So I agree with you completely,
Hmm.
Jeff.
Yeah, that was very eloquently put.
Thank you. Thank you. I all credit to you for saying it, saying what we're all thinking. But that's again why I love something like this album because all the different pieces of it, it's like it's Lil Yachty not letting the AI terrorists win. It's
Hmm.
using their own momentum. Like, okay, we'll have an AI generated cover, and that's cool because it's just a piece of this. And then I'm gonna do mimi shit with the titles, and then I'm gonna add in weird little flourishes that you might not catch the first time through, but at
Hmm.
some point it's gonna snag you. Um, Things that are recognizable, and that's why they pick up your ears. Like there's and we're about to blow up their spot, but there is a windshield company in Vermont, and I know you know exactly what I'm talking about.
1-800 369
639 0666.
63966. Oh my god.
1-800-639-0666.
639-0666.
Satanic laughter. Terrifying commercial.
Yeah.
Catchy as all hell. Imagine if that for you and me came up in a song. Or like the McDonald's ba-da-ba-ba-ba. If that happened in a
Mhm.
song, your brain is like, I know that. I clapped. I clapped when I heard
Yep.
McDonald's. And he does a really good job of putting that in, and it kinda, like, yanks your attention around and
Mhm.
keeps you interested. So for like, a society that has insanely short attention spans now, it's, like, a very rewarding exercise in just, like, sticking with the process,
Mhm.
sticking with the idea that's going on here.
Yeah, that's I mean, it was extremely impressive, and I think obviously we need to, I think, point out specifically just the obscene production value. on everything. Like it was very, very well mixed, very well put together. Like everything had its place and it seemed to all perfectly fit. It's like those the videos you watch, you get on like TikTok or the Instagram reels or whatever, where it's just like they're very satisfying. So it's like people cutting something in very thin slices or something, but very consistently, or someone's like carving grooves in soap and then cutting it so it falls a certain way, like just stuff like that. But that's what I feel like when this album got put together, all those pieces just kind of like were very satisfying to all go together. And I feel like there's a lot here. Like there's an abundance of things for you to pick out. If you want to pick out just listening to the rhythms, they're extremely interesting. Bass lines, the melody lines, like everything is so meticulously put together without ever seeming like there's too much. And when you realize like how much there is, to get that to still sound like it was, that it's very simple and streamlined, that's a really hard thing to do.
Well, and there are moments of it where the sound that's being made doesn't sound like studio recorded drums or something like
Mhm.
that, but you would be forgiven for thinking that like certain parts of this were live instruments. Obviously, it's studio production tools that created these kind of psychedelic sounds, but if you kind of like get caught up in the moment with it, you might mistake it for like an actual instrument.
Mhm.
There's no way it could be because it's a computer. So what would it manifest as? It's just this sound. It doesn't have an instrument that it goes to. But you would think that it did, the way that like this was incredibly well mixed and like super
Mhm.
balanced and had like a sense of dimensionality to it, which again goes to that idea that like so much thought and so much care went into making this. So to me, all these people filling their huggies about this album were totally correct. And you know who wasn't one of those people, Jeff?
Who?
And blow up his spot? Fucking Tanner.
He did not like this one?
I don't think he disliked it as much as he kept asking me if I'd listen. I'm like, "No, I gotta do it for the
Mhm.
show." So I checked it out and I'm like, "Yeah, hey man, what did you think?" And he gave me this emoji.
Oh,
Gave me the
no.
the yikes emoji because the hype was too much for him. It didn't live up to the hype. And I bring
Oh.
that up not just to shame him, because he will listen to this at some point and he's gonna get hot. Ooh, he's gonna be a hot little potato when he catches wind of this. But to also illustrate that I had like the complete opposite reaction, which was I
Mhm.
just like gravitated towards this like hell.
Yeah, I mean, I was one, even if I didn't end up liking the songs, which I loved almost all of them. I can't really honestly pick one out that I can say that I didn't like as much as the others, but because I felt like this was such a singular end-to-end experience that you just couldn't really, I don't know, picking certain songs out of it. I'm sure obviously the radio is going to for singles, but if you have the chance, like the better way to listen to this is to listen to it all the way through, because it's I think bringing up Don FM was a fantastic comparison. Musically, some similarities, I guess, but like more about like how the album makes you feel, like how it moves through it, and just kind of the way that you're taken along for a ride. I know we always throw out the term concept album, and while this one may not be like your classic one, again, it's like when something has thematic consistency throughout the whole experience, whether you vary the genre of music that they're using or not. So like Wet Leg was great about that on their album. um it really lends to a fantastic experience when you're able to make sure that from song to song they can be different, but I need to feel like I'm in the same room as I was before. I think that's an important thing to do.
And this was musically conceptual. So yeah, we invoke the concept album sometimes, but it really was the psychedelia and the musical instincts of it that were consistent and conceptual and were a new thing for him. And I love when someone goes out on a limb like that. So for me, this one is a clear and enthusiastic stream it.
Oh, 100%. Especially if you already like, again, if you already like this genre, if you haven't really gotten into this, but you like kind of like that Pink Floyd style music, or something like, I'm going to shout out Mitch here, Bonobos, or Bonobo, whatever that thing is, whatever that band is or group is called. But if you like that kind of music already, I think like Thievery Corporation is another one that does that sort of style. Like check this one out because I think you're going to find a lot of elements that you like. There's a very ambient feel to it. Like it feels wide open like throughout the whole album. And I think that's another big thing too, is that the sound of it is so well put together. The songs are so well put together. I think he does the features that he has on there. I think shout out Fouché, because
Mm,
I think she's on two, right? Two songs.
yep.
And those are both phenomenal. I mean, it gave me very like SZA vibes too. I think with the SZA album that we did earlier, she took those big giant swings in a lot of places and was very successful. And I think we got the same thing here with this Lil Yachty album. So yeah, stream it.
Hot damn. The hits just keep on going. It's been nothing but stream it so far, hasn't it?
I mean, it's been a good run. I don't know if we've had a run this good in the history of this podcast so far.
Damn. I'm keen as a bean over here. This is nice. This is a nice way to start because as I recall, the end of the year was a little shaky. I think I've said that before. I might have said that
Yes.
on the last episode, but I
Yeah.
stick by my story.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, we'll see if we get a whole strong year. I mean, we're already in month 2, strong so far. So all signs are pointing to it being a strong year. And you can keep right up with us by subscribing down below. Make sure you comment, let us know what you want to hear next. If there's some other Lil Yachty stuff that you think we should check out, let us know. And until next time.